Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being here in Soul Talk. Today, we have a friend back home, and his name is Joseph. He's gonna be telling us a little bit more about what he do now. I met him but I think it's part of his personality how I met him. I had a open mic in my art gallery, and he was one of the comedians, and he always pick up people from whatever they were feeling. But now, let me just tell you a little bit more about Jacob James Garcia. He's a keynote speaker and curriculum creator. He helps fellow humans avoid burnout, like to remind them about to celebrate their efforts, that we all forget about those things. Prioritize the joy and aims to provide his audience with perspective and tools. Jacob, this is great to see you again, my friend.
It's good to see you too, Monica. I'm really excited about your path as well. I started really paying attention to what you were doing, and I think it's really great. It's obvious that you have a big heart, and I think it's great that other people have someone they can turn to that's trustworthy. And you're one of those people that is coming from a place of goodness. Just because you have information doesn't mean you're a great person, and you have both. You know, you're what is it? You're using your powers for good.
we are. We are.
Fair. Okay. Yes. Fair. We are. I'll take that. But it's been an interesting journey. I did meet you doing stand up. For the longest time, Monica, that's what I wanted. I just wanted to be a stand up. Quite frankly, there was no backup plan. All I wanted, the one and only thing I wanted, was to be a comedian. I wanted to be a comedian, and I wanted all the things that came with it. I was young. I was a teenager going off into the world, and I moved to Austin, Texas in 1999 to pursue a career in stand-up. That's what I wanted. And anytime anyone would ask me a question, what do you want? I would say something ridiculous, a little uneducated in my statement. But again, 19, 20, 21, I would say I want it all. And they said, well, what's all? I'm like, everything. And they're like, everything of what? I'm like, you name it, I want it. Because I was young. And when I got into stand up, one of the things my dad would say was, hey, Mijo, maybe you should consider being a motivational speaker. And I respectfully declined that. I respectfully rebelled against what my dad had seen. And I said, no, I'm going to be a comedian. That's what I do. Because I was intrigued by the lifestyle of, traveling and being on TV and on the radio, on the news. And I did do well. I eventually did reach a point where I had started to feel a certain level of success. And I started speaking and doing comedy in different countries. And it's funny how things work out, because the truth is, and I'll backtrack to some of the stories, but just kind of giving the audience and you a breakdown of where I started and where I am before we go back and fill in the gaps, was if it wasn't for the little pandemic times, I don't know that I would have made the position or the pivot into motivational speaking, because I left Austin, Texas, where there was prime comedy, a major city, a land of entertainment and commerce. Then I came back to a border town in South Texas, where I'm from. And I'm like, well, there goes my comedy career, because there's no real industry down here for stand-up. Yeah. So there's a show here and there, but you can't make a living. Some people can, but it was less likely. So I met a motivational speaker randomly. He said, basically, come with me. And I did. And then I put all of my efforts into motivational speaking. And then motivational speaking became staff development. Then I stopped being so broad in what I was doing. But before I continue talking and jumping all over the place, that's in a nutshell how it happened. Stand up, pandemic, motivational speaking. There's a lot of gaps to fill in between, and we'll cover that when you ask your next question.
I have I haven't seen you since you were a comedy before the
Mhm.
pandemic. That's the last time I saw you, and I lost track of you. And then suddenly you were being a motivational speaker. That right now it is so important and so necessary for all the coaches and everybody. We That's what we do. We motivate people. We try to guide them in different things. Did you got any certifications or any training of any kind? You already had it, the stage,
Mhm.
because you knew how to dominate it when you were doing comedy. That's a big step for owning the stage. You can make people laugh. You can make
Mhm.
people feel the the interactions you're doing there.
So there was a time I do have a history of teaching. If I want to be cheesy and cliche about it, I'm the oldest of three. And when you're the oldest, you're kind of a second string parent. You're backup parent. I'm parent number three. And so it was a responsibility to make sure that I taught my younger brother and younger sister how to be. Well, early on, I was very involved in sports. My whole family was. By the time I was 11 or 12, maybe 12 or 13, I got a black belt in Taekwondo. Well, in that area, in order to get your black belt, you had to have 100 hours of teaching. So I was a child teaching already. So in order to do that next level, you had to teach, you had to run class, and you were instructing adults, fully formed, bill paying, responsible, having adults. And I'm an 11-year-old saying, now I need to see this technique. Now show me this example of what it is to hip toss somebody. Now do these push ups. Let me see your kicks. Well, then I started teaching at the neighbor's driveway, private karate lessons at 13 and 14. I taught swimming lessons from the age of 11, 11 till I was 20 years old. My mom was a lifeguard and a manager of the city pool, had a water baby program she started with me when I was 9 months old. And so I've been around the water for a long time. So I started teaching, and I was an assistant at 11, an assistant at 12, an assistant at 13. By the time I was 15, I had my own class for 5 summers in a row. I was on a payroll for the Donna department, and I was teaching swimming lessons. Then I became a substitute teacher for a while.
Tell me, Jacob, in your talks, what talks do you are the themes that you're
That's a great question. At the beginning, what's crazy? I like that you asked this question because when I went into the motivational speaking, it was very broad. It was a very loose interpretation. And because I'd spent so many years as a comedian, I was very confident in my ability to present. I was very confident in my ability to say, this is attention grabbing. I know how to hold a room. And comedy, if you remove the punchline, the part of the joke at the very end in stand up, it's kind of a motivational speech for a lot of us comics. We just got rid of the funny, ridiculous part at the end. It still had to do with your upbringing, where you've been, what you've learned, except you don't put that ridiculous twist at the end. So when I went into motivational speaking, Monica, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to talk about. When I would offer my services, I basically told people I can do it all. They're like, "Well, what do you talk about? Whatever you need." Well, who do you talk to? Anyone who speaks English. And they're like, "Well, where do you come from? Anywhere you." So I was so vague at the beginning. So at the time, I was like confident. Well, if you want motivation, I can talk motivation. If you want sales strategy, I can talk sales strategy. My net was too big, and I didn't have a singular focus. And now the time's gone on, and I've spent more time speaking at schools. I've done leadership conferences. I've done employee morale for teachers and counselors. I've done corporate events, nonprofit events. I stopped being so wide in what I'm saying, and I've narrowed it down. And now what I speak on is what you said during the introduction, is I really, really aim to help people avoid burning out in their place of work, their occupation of choice, and in their personal life. My whole point is to help people use perspective as a tool. So we all here's the thing: as adults, we've all had our ups and downs, our side to sides, our rights to lefts. But a lot of times you can have a boss at work or you can have a family member say, you need to eat better. You need to drink less. You need to stop doing X, Y, Z. But a lot of times it takes someone from the outside coming in and telling you the exact same message. And you're like, wow, that's a great idea. Meanwhile, your dad or your mom or your friends are like, I've been telling you that for 3 years, but it needs to be an outside source that says, ah, it's just like when you drink a soda at home or you go to a restaurant and all of a sudden it comes out of the nozzle like, this is the greatest soda I've ever had. You just had a soda yesterday. It's better when you go. Environment means a lot. So now I whittle it down to how can I help people be self sufficient? A Swiss Army human, if you will. I want people to be self sustaining humans. So when there's no one around, at least they can feed from the farm that is their farm. They can say, no one's around. I have the vegetables that my soul needs. I have the thing to nourish my spirit. And then I have these things called back pocket moments. Hey, you may be full of energy now, but remember that thing that someone said to you 3 years ago? Pull it out of your back pocket, look at it, and go there. But my focus really is on perspective as a tool and avoiding burning out, because those are things that everyone deals with. And yeah, I'm really excited that I get to be able to do those things. I'm in some really exciting talks right now, and I'm going to be vague, but there's a university right now that is excited about potentially working with me, and I'm offering curriculums as well. So instead of just saying the words, inspiring people, and then you leave, it's like when you go watch a movie, especially if it's a comedy. Your friends are like, "How was the movie?" You're like, "It was great. What happened that was funny?" And you can never remember. You're like, I don't know. There was this time and the guy fell down and you had to have been there. And there's an old saying, I think it's Maya Angelou, if I'm not mistaken. People don't always remember what you said, but they remember how you felt when you said it.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing it. And it's the same thing with me when I do my speeches. But now, instead of just my speech, instead of making people excited and pumped up and have them look and reflect upon themselves and bathing in a pool of their own glory, that's all fine. But once I leave, then what? Well, now they have a curriculum. I leave them with a curriculum, a self reflective program that has a certificate attached to the end of it. So once they're done, they won't just be like, man, that guy made me feel good, but I forgot what he said. They can have questions. They can answer 4 modules, 5 lessons per module, and I'm going to tailor make it for every industry, every company, every school district or ISD. I'm going to tailor make the curriculum based on what they said their needs are. Then they can have them fulfilled, and it won't be me talking at people. I won't be giving you what I think you should have. I'll be giving you what you asked for. So then there's actually use and function for the service. Because my ego is not so big that I'm just like, here, eat this, eat your broccoli. I'm not going to tell somebody that. I want to know what it is you can benefit from, and then we'll work together and figure it out.
That's as a coach that I've been doing this for a while. One of the hardest things that I have find with my clients it is that the majority do not know what they want.
Mhm.
So that might take me sometimes a session or two. Just do they figure it out what they really want because they want to change, but change of what? They really do not know. I call it the yellow brick road. If you don't have the
Mhm.
yellow brick road, where you're gonna go? So you have to have a path or at least an idea what you want. So like that you can go to the Emerald City or whatever it is that you wanna go. So that's in that process sometimes that's where the people get the burnout
Mhm.
because like you mentioned you want so many things but when you want so many things you don't have the yellow brick road
Right.
and that's why it is so important to know what you want so like that the yellow brick road it will open up for you in an easy way like it did for you because that was your path as soon as you find out what you want the doors start opening more for you but that applies for everybody I have met many coaches, healers, psychics, etc. that sometimes they, and even myself, I had burnout a bunch of times.
Hmm.
That when we're trying to do so many things for survival, that's the problem. That's when we burn out.
Hmm.
How do you work with people that are burning out and just launching any program? The people do not understand that what is in the behind. When they present you, the program is already out, but the process to creating the program, the models, and launching it and so forth, it is a lot of work. It is a lot of work, and that's where you finally get the program and you see your coach or your healer or the person that is teaching you that it is already past. You never saw the burnout of that person. So how do you deal with? How do you work with them in that way?
Well, I borrowed and modified a phrase from the fitness industry. So being sedentary and sitting down is just as bad for you as smoking. So a lot of people who are sitting around in the fitness industry, they tell you to take an exercise snack. So they're like, hey, every so often, if you've been sitting at your desk too long or you've been sitting down too long watching TV, get up and give yourself an exercise snack. Go down, touch your toes, get some movement going, move your arms, stretch, walk around the block. And they call that an exercise snack. So I thought to myself, how can I apply that to emotions? How can I apply that to well being? So I decided to coin the phrase love snack. So every so often, you give yourself a love snack instead of an exercise snack, although I recommend you do them both. But if you give yourself a love snack, that's a moment in the day where you stop what you're doing, you get off your phone, you stop surfing the internet, you stop playing on YouTube or looking on Netflix, and you take 1 minute, 60 seconds out of your day to stop, slow it down, and acknowledge all of your efforts. That's the moment where you celebrate who you are as a husband, a wife, a son, a daughter, a mother, a father, whatever it is that you are, as an employee, as someone who strives to be more. Stop, acknowledge, pat yourself in a back on the back and swim in a pool of your own excellence. That's something that helps you avoid burnout because now it's not all output. That's one of the problems that people have. Output, output, output. Well, you can drive your car up and down the road all day long, but if you don't stop and put gas, you're not good to anybody else either. You can't take your friends to the doctor because you have no gas. Well, a love snack allows you to take that moment and say, you know what? You did good. And like the rest of your muscles, you train your emotions to do the same thing. So you do it for 60 seconds. Maybe in 2 weeks, you can do it for 2 minutes. Maybe you could do it for three, a month down the road. You're going to have to condition yourself because we're constantly surrounded by stimulus. We're constantly surrounded by bright lights, flashing lights, things that are always giving us dopamine hits that we didn't necessarily take the time to earn. Now, with a love snack, you have a moment to sit there, and if you want to reflect, you can just reflect. You can list all the things you're grateful for. Being mindful is a very important thing. So if you can't think of things that you've done well, and you can't give yourself the credit you deserve for all of your efforts, then might I suggest, think about how a tree works. Think about how oxygen comes in. Allow yourself to be blown away by something every day. Take a moment to look through the eyes of a child. We're older, but we haven't lost all our innocence. Our innocence is still inside of us. That doesn't mean we're naive. That doesn't mean we're easy and gullible to fool. But sit there and hang out with your innocence, say hi to the child within, and be blown away. Look at something, look at the sky and be like, wow, stars really are crazy. I know we talked about it in school, but how do they actually work? I have friends of mine who have actually gone and complained about flying from one country to another for work. And they're like, oh, I got to get on a plane. I got to go do a show in England. I'm like, you're taking this all wrong, bro. You get to get on a plane. You get to go to England. And a plane, even if you know how it works, do you? No. You don't know how a plane works. It's a giant bus in the sky that has a sky restaurant. They give you sky service with a sky waiter, a sky waitress. You can get sky wine and sky beverages. If that doesn't blow your mind, what else do you need? People are using AI right now to get stimulation when you can go outside and look at the wheels of the bus go round and round and be like, Who even invented wheels? Allow yourself. You don't burn out when you give yourself an opportunity to be mindful of what we actually have. We have it. We have it. I got a little red cup right now. How someone made this? Someone invented a cup. I can go down and think about that. And that should blow my mind. Water's in here. What an amazing treat that I have clean water. There's always something. And sometimes it's hard, but you got to condition yourself to let yourself be mesmerized.
Yes, it is so true that the majority of the human beings, we are not even grateful for all the things that we have. And we don't celebrate our successes. If we observe what everything that we have passed through to be where we are now, we'll be, it's like, okay, whatever problem it is, I had worse problems that I already passed.
Mhm.
I have worse things, issues that I already passed to be right now here. So these problems that are coming, they're nothing in comparison to what I already live. But no one do that retrospective because, yeah, remembering sometimes is painful. But sometimes we need to remember those or remember where we are now.
I
And
agree.
that's a game changer for everybody.
And another reason I want people to take those moments is because when you're drained and you're depleted and you're exhausted and you're tired, every step feels like a mile. You're exhausted, you're beat up. Every bruise feels like a bullet wound because you're tired, you're beat up. If you take those love snacks and you take those moments to celebrate, when you take a step, it'll feel like a step. And you get slugged on the arm, it'll feel like a bruise. Everything's not so dire when you have an energy source to draw from. And for different people, it's different things. But at the end of the day, joy and satisfaction is a very powerful thing to be able to continue to move forward. And then you want to share it. Then you realize how much fun you're having. And that's the whole thing. You want to tell somebody else, you want to share a smile. And people will come along with it. Nobody wants to be mad, but some people don't know how not to be addicted to their misery. There's
Yeah.
people that are determined to be miserable because that misery is familiar. They're familiar with it. It's scary to go off somewhere where you've never been before, but sometimes that other place is happiness.
Getting out of the comfortable zone, it is the more difficult part. Even if it
Mm-hmm.
was misery, like you said, and it doesn't matter the comfortable zone outside. That has to do with totally with the ego. The ego do not like new changes. Every
Mm-hmm.
time that anyone is gonna make a new change, the ego is gonna jump in, and it's gonna instigate fear. It's gonna instigate anger. It's gonna instigate all those emotions that are gonna keep us stuck where we are. And that's why it's so important in a way to not listen to the ego and do the
Mm-hmm.
things even if it feels uncomfortable because it's new. That doesn't mean that it's going to be new forever until you actually experience it, right?
Well, I got to tell you, when I did stand up, a lot of it was ego driven. Yes, yes, I knew every entertainer, or at least a lot of them, know the right thing to say. Oh, as long as I'm on stage, I can take them away from their problems for 45 minutes. As long as I'm on stage, I can take them away. Yeah, that's the right thing to say. That's the correct answer. But a lot of people don't live it, and I was no different. I knew when I was on stage doing stand up, to a certain degree, I'll be honest with you, Monica, a little bit of, I was having fun, wanted to have fun. Yes, I hope you have fun too. But the first part of my comedy career was ego driven. It was me showing off. Look at how good I am with words. Look how hilarious I can be. Watch what an amazing person I am. And yes, I cared about you, but I definitely cared about me more. And at the beginning of stand up, that's the truth. It's not something I like to admit, but I'm not ashamed of it either. It was part of my journey, but it was me showing off. I I've always been good with words. I'm not afraid of a stage. And it was me just being like, ah. And it took me traveling and seeing and experiencing the life through the lens of a different artist that I started seeing more purity in the craft. I started seeing what an impact you can actually have. I saw artists that weren't doing it for fame or fortune. They were doing it because it was from their soul. and I saw that. I was like, oh my goodness, these people are going to do it without the fame and fortune. They would appreciate it, but this is who they are. And they want to blow your mind. They want you to be mesmerized. And I didn't see it that way until I met some of these artists. And a lot of these artists were in Australia. I was doing stand up in Australia, and I saw a different way of being. And I started adopting that approach. I started seeing that it was more than just what can I get out of it. I honestly used to view the audience as an opponent. How can I defeat them? How can I submit this collection of people to my will? And that's the way I used to see it. I will be the best. I will beat you. And as time went on, I learned these aren't my opponents. These are my marriages. These are my dance partners. I started to develop a symbiotic relationship with a collection of people, and stand up became more beautiful. Stand up became uh, a gift. It became about us. And I significantly got better. I started getting more international gigs, and I started realizing that there was no difference between an audience in London, Canada, Mexico City, United States, Australia. There was no difference. There was no difference. These are people. These are people who have entrusted you for a good time. And by golly, I'm going to give it to them, but it's not going to be just me. We're going to dance. It became an amazing change. Sorry about that. I had to burp. I just drank a smoothie. Um, it became this amazing revelation for me. And life became a lot more fun and a lot more satisfying because I was able to share moments with my fellow human being, which later became speaking.
That's where I was going. When was the switch that when you do you do you continue doing comedy, or you just let it go the comedy and became just a keynote speaker?
My priority is keynote speaking, staff development, um, the well being, employee morale, overall mental awareness. That is my priority. I will do stand up if it's worth it to me emotionally. If I feel like that looks like fun, then I'll do it. If someone offers me a check I can't refuse, I'll consider it because I'll be like, well, I could feed this check into my motivational speaking business and have one hand wash the other. So I still say yes from time to time, but I don't look for stand up gigs anymore. Someone has to come and get me. If you want me, come find me. And that doesn't even mean I'll say yes. I still might say no. Monica, I am much quicker to say yes to international shows because those are just fun. You're going to pay me to see your country, break bread with you, give a warm embrace in a different country, and hear your story. That I'll say yes to very easily. This morning, I got a phone call. I might be doing Mexico City as a stand up pretty soon. Again, I'm going to say yes to Mexico City. Mexico City is amazing. And yeah, I'll say yes to that.
But when was the switch that you wanted to become? What happened in your? I understand that the majority of coaches or healers, whatever you want to call us, something happened to us that we something switch that is like, okay, I want to help people.
This wasn't really my choice, Monica. The pandemic happened. I didn't make this choice because I was noble and good. I made this choice out of necessity. It was a skill set that I had mastered, not mastered, but I'd reached a very high level at. And I said, well, if I'm going to make a living and not get a 9 to 5 job, I should do this. And I did. It wasn't a noble thing. I'll be the first to admit it. It was a move based out of necessity. And then as time went on, I started asking questions. I started to see how I could help. I started seeing my eyes opened up to those who could use an advocate. My eyes started opening up to those who could use someone in their cheering section. I also moved back in with my parents to help them out during the pandemic. I left Austin, came back home. Both my parents are sharp as a fiddle, sharp as a razor blade, but one of them is a little bit physically compromised. Well, being around two noble, wonderful, and amazing people like my parents 24/7. They say you're as good as the people you surround yourself with. Well, now I'm with some of the most generous people that I've ever known. And I see them every morning and I see them every night before I go to bed. How was that not going to rub off on me? It brought me back to my roots. So slowly but surely, I didn't do motivational speaking out of necessity. It became more of a mission because I know how much my dad has helped people. I've always been generous. I've never been a selfish person, but I wasn't. The motivational team building was capitalizing on a skill set I already possessed. But then being surrounded by my mom, who's outside right now coaching, she's teaching some people how to swim right now as we speak. And she's a wonderful person. She's generous. My dad's raised a whole lot of money for people in this community in the city of Donna, Texas, and he's a wonderful person. I'm surrounded by champions of life, followers of a good way of being, and it just quickly got right back into me. Maybe I lost my way, maybe I forgot who I was, but in this point, I'm becoming the person I was expected to be, the person I was meant to be. I'm becoming the person my parents probably looked at when I was a child and held me in their arms and said, "This is what this great man's going to do. He's a beautiful person. He's going to do beautiful things." And now I'm doing it to honor them and to show respect to those putting in the effort. So it wasn't a switch moment. There was no moment. It was a gradual progression based on an entire planet getting sick. Because I was in the air when the pandemic happened. I almost didn't get back into America. I'd done 9 weeks of a residency of stand-up comedy in Australia. And 62 hours later, I got back on American soil. And that forced my hand. There's an old saying, and I'm not here to talk about religion, but there's an old saying, it's not on my time, it's on his time. You want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And well, I guess we all laughed our way into this position, but there wasn't an exact moment. I'll be honest, prior of it was me kicking and screaming against it. I had problems letting go of the ego. I had problems letting go of my former life as a well-respected, high-level, well-desired stand-up comedian. It's fun when people scream your name when you walk into a building. It's fun when people want to buy you beverages. It's fun when someone pays you to go to another country. But I think at this point, I've had enough fun taking care of my basic needs. It's time to give back and let people know that I'm ready to pour into you now. And at this point, I'm honest in my approach. I'm not faking this. I was at the beginning, not faking it, but it wasn't my first choice. It wasn't what I wanted, but it's not all about me. I wrote 2 children's books and one called Little Jacob and His Giant. And it's a story about little Jacob. His best friend's a giant. His giant's name is Potential. And everywhere he goes, he takes his giant potential with him. And that book ended up being a #1 new release on Amazon the first week it was out. I wrote a follow-up children's book called Little Lucy Goes Swimming. And every day, the main character, Little Lucy, who's named after my sister, goes swimming in a pool of positivity. Those 2 books and reading at schools have brought me more joy than any comedy show or ovation has ever given me. I have fought back tears on multiple occasions watching the children light up. I have fought back actual tears and involuntarily laughed with joy when these kids ask a question and you're able to give them an answer and you get an ooh or an ah and you see that you're actually genuinely and truly making a difference. Because these children, some of us in the region that, the Rio Grande Valley,
Yeah.
a lot of these people who are parents aren't neglecting their children, but the unfortunate truth is they're working sun up to sundown. It's not because they're neglecting them. That's where they are right now. They work for a very small wage and they work for the most amount of hours. So when they come home, their son's already gone to sleep because he's at school the next day. The dad's going to eat day-old bread and week-old bread, day-old coffee, drink that, go to bed. He doesn't get a chance to tell his son, you can do it. You're the best. You can be anything you want to be. Well, that's where I have an opportunity to fill in the gap. They say it takes a village to raise a child. I'm part of that village now. Now I'm part of the village. And I'll go a step further and say it takes a village to maintain an adult. So you do that and you think the in a gentle, supportive tribe. And now I've seen enough of this that I can't go back. I see the impact it's having, and I'm doing everything I've done to this point has led to this. It's not that I shouldn't have been a comic, but that wasn't the end of my story. I wasn't only one thing. Everything I saw and I did as a stand-up comedian has given me real life experience to share with the generations that are coming up and the people that are currently here. So, like I said, it's been gradual, Monica.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And if you have been feeling stuck where you are right now, or if you have felt that you cannot connect with others in the same language or the same emotions that you're feeling, if you're a coach, a healer, energy worker, in any of those branches, maybe this is for you. Because we have felt the disconnection for the rest of our family, friends, that we cannot connect to them. And we're so afraid to actually go deep dive when we're getting triggered by our own clients, because we're seeing our mirror image with them. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and that's my spiritual name. And I take clients from feeling confused and feeling stuck to feeling free, to feeling that they feel empowered from themselves. I created a system, Path to the Heart, that goes in 3 levels. And the first level, it is healing the inner child, healing the parts of us that we've been so afraid, or it's very painful to do it. I have done it myself, not only with me, and I have done it with many of my clients, that I take them to this process. The second level, it is to go more into inner self, clearing the family lineage, to breaking the contracts and vows, learning deeper more about the laws of the universe. And the third level, it is learning how to channel, how to do waking up your and getting online your gifts, your unique gifts that the world so much needs right now. So if you wanted to know more about this, I am eager to show you and to teach you all what I know that I use every day in my life. So thank you for being here in this page. I really appreciate it. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. I'm so happy for you. So right now you mentioned that you have a program for
Mhm.
with 4 models. And when are you going to launch it, or when is going to start?
So the
So
programs that I'm doing, I was going to launch them for the masses. Now I'm keeping it simple and I'm custom tailoring the programs to the people who book me as an extra thank you or a bonus or a more impactful way to make a difference. So the programs aren't going out to the masses yet. They're going out to the people that book a speaker, me or someone on my team, because I have a team now, which is awesome. It's so awesome that I have a team, and I will set out some programs in the future, but in this fashion, the manager or the principal or the superintendent or whoever can buy it, and it can trickle down and they can share it to their staff, their faculty, and their team. So they buy it, they can share it. So eventually I'll have a program to send out, but at the moment I'm really making sure not to spread myself too thin and make sure to be able to consolidate and compartmentalize my services. And that's an easy thing to do. I just set up a website called it's called mindset speakers and curriculum.com, and that's what it really focuses on, the curriculum and the mindset. So it's mindset speakers and curriculum.com, and it's pretty cool.
and all that information is gonna be in information down below this episode. So like that, you can get a hold on Jacob. It's like, oh my gosh, things can shift in a second.
Hmm.
Things can shift in a second. The last time I saw you, you were doing something, stay in a stage, still in
Hmm.
stage, and owning that stage, and bringing people laugh, and getting out of their head in a way. But now you're going more deeper than the head. Now you're going to their heart, to their emotions, how they can shift their reality through their own attitude and positivism by you. Thank you
Let
so
me ask you a
much.
question, Monica.
Sure.
How are you? How are you? How are you with this move? Uh, what's new? What's been a good moment for you lately?
Well, I am in Santa Fe, New Mexico,
Mhm.
and it's been great here. They love artists. They support artists in every single way. We are really appreciated here. So that's a big change from Rio Grande Valley. We are in a Democrat state, so there's more help for the people, and the people here are wonderful, really wonderful. The landscape, it is the mountains, the rivers, name it. It's just beautiful. I'm really happy for that move that we did. And sometimes we just need to move from the place that we, well, I was never from the Rio Grande Valley, so I always said I'm not even from here. So finally I got out of there, and so Santa Fe is being great. There are coaches, healers, shamans, and artists, name it, and very very talented. Is one of the meccas of the arts in the United States. So
That's amazing.
yes.
I've heard great things. I've never been. I've only been in New Mexico. I've only been to Albuquerque.
uh,
I plan on eventually going out to Santa Fe. It's just got to schedule the time.
yes, you
I'm,
should.
I'm super excited for you. I love. I'll see some of your posts, and if I see it, I press the heart. But I also know that you made the move, and I appreciate you also reaching out and sending me those old pictures of me and a friend of mine.
Yes.
And I showed him to my friend. He was like, "Wow, we were young." And I'm like, "Yeah, I had hair." And for the record, I still have hair. It's just less than I would like, so I shave it now. Um, a dear friend of mine in Australia, we were roommates. This is another great thing about traveling is she's from France, and we met in Australia because we both worked for the same person. We developed the biggest friendship in the world. To this day, we stay in contact. She was the one who pointed out my hair was thinning, so I just started shaving it. I'm like, oh, pretty girl said it's thinning. Psh, done. But she actually gave me one of my favorite moments. You know, when you felt a shift, like you were talking about, I did have a shift with her. I was in Adelaide, Australia at a hostel. Are you familiar with hostels?
Yes.
So, for the listeners out there, hostels are basically traveler hotels where you might have like 8 to a room, 4 to a room, a bunch of people in one room who are trying to travel on a budget. And me and a bunch of friends of mine were at a table in a hostel and we were playing cards. While playing cards, my friend Julie from France, Julie, she comes over and feeds me a bowl of vegan chili. She literally had a bowl, scooped it, fed the spoon to my mouth, and she calls me JJ. And she goes, JJ, you need to feed. And she gives me a bite of vegan chili. I lean forward, take a bite. I look around the table, and everyone at the table is looking like, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy that a beautiful French woman is feeding them vegan chili? Here's the thing, her and I had established a beautiful friendship the month before. She had noticed that I hadn't eaten in a while and took the time to nourish a friend. It was the most innocent and selfless thing. She wasn't doing it for a show. I didn't eat it for a show. But it was a moment like that, Monica, that I realized I'm the richest man on earth right now. I am the wealthiest person on earth. I just had a wonderful person who cares about me from France while in Adelaide, Australia, feed me a bowl of vegan chili. I'm a little brown boy from a border town in South Texas. English is my dad's second language. I have flown across the planet and someone cared enough about me to feed me. Who's the richest man in the world? It's not Elon Musk. It's not Jeff Bezos, because they don't know Julie like I know Julie. And I realized right then and there, the real wealth was in the embrace. It wasn't in a paycheck. It wasn't in a standing ovation. It was in human connection. It was in having someone care enough about you to stop you from what you were doing, feed you a bowl of vegan chili, and say, JJ, you need to feed. And after that, Monica, that switch did flip. Then I started chasing moments, not stages. Then I started chasing embraces, breaking bread. The best thing you can do with someone is break bread. Handshakes. The best thing, I know I've been talking a lot, but the greatest thing you can do is shut up, be quiet, and listen to someone's story. And I had heard her story, and she had heard mine. And that's why we bonded. So that was a switch moment for me, Monica.
That is so true. That is so true. To chase moments. That is that is key. That is a key, very very important from this interview. Jacob, it has been my pleasure to see you again, my friend, and to support you. And please, so anyone, if this brights your day, share it with your friends. It might bright your day from one of your friends, please. This episode and the information of Jacob is gonna be down below in this episode. So like that, you can get a hold of him if you have any questions or you wanna book him. Thank you so much, Jacob. I really, really appreciate it.
Well,
And
thank you. Thank you very much too, Monica. So yeah, I'd love to have you back on my podcast. I'm starting a new podcast as well. And if you want to be a guest on my podcast, I'll ask the questions. I'll be quiet. I'll let you answer. And we'll shine a spotlight on you a little bit more. But I really do appreciate it. I am happy that you're flourishing. I'm happy that you're out there. You seem like you're doing well. Um, you look like you have that shine right now. I like your background. And I'm excited and I look forward to the things you do. And I hope that you remain satisfied, fulfilled, and continue to help others. You deserve good things.
thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.